Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 240. Jeffrey Epstein, militant feminists, where are you? So, just a little background information on Jeffrey Epstein. He's the guy, the man, the myth, and the legend. Probably the story of the century, which will go away and nobody will ever hear about it because he's kind of a deep state kind of guy. He's working for intelligence and he has a lot of information on very important people. So they're probably going to cover it up. But nonetheless, I hope they don't. But essentially, he's a guy. He had a mansion in New York City, and a mansion in the Caribbean, and he had a mansion in New Mexico, where he would lure really powerful people to these spots of his mansions, and he'd have parties with alcohol and girls, and he had cameras everywhere, and he would watch what happened. Essentially, like putting fire and gasoline together, and he would watch these rich, powerful men and these aspiring women, or even underage women, by the way, do nefarious things with each other. And now these men are in his control because he has video footage of rich, powerful men doing things with illegal activities with underage women or girls. And then he can control them in their every move. That's who Jeffrey Epstein is. Well, so where are all the militant feminists on this? And let me give you a little background information. So, Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, approximately 20 years ago, in a private conversation with another man in a secluded space, was having a conversation about a woman who happened to be beautiful. And and the guy was telling Donald Trump how he thought she was beautiful. And he said, you know what I would do? She is a beautiful woman. I agree with you. You got to grab her by the you know what. And you know what that word is. It starts with a P and ends in a Y. And I'm not going to like corrupt anybody on this video channel. You got to grab her by the you know what, and and be confident with her. That's what the Donald J. Trump, the future president of the United States of America, give advice to another man in a private conversation. Well, so that's locker room talk. It's not necessarily appropriate, but certainly it's not evil. I'm sorry, it's not illegal in any way. And so what happened? Well, that spawned the militant angry feminists to rise up, and they started creating all these hats, which they embroidered and they knitted, and they took all their time and their energy. Rich, angry, harpy women, and they created hats that looked like female genitalia, and they marched in the streets. And there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them, if not 1 to 2 million of them across America, making a whole bunch of stink in the media and in public about how horrible this man is because he told another man in a private conversation that you got to grab her by the you know what. And there you go. That's what rich, angry, militant, harpy women do when they're told to do it, because it's not like they organize themselves. Because if these rich, angry, harpy, militant, angry feminists were really genuinely concerned about the rights of women, Jeffrey Epstein case should be like in the forefront of everything that they stand for. Here's a man, Jeffrey Epstein, that essentially created a network of young girls, 14 to 17 years old, that he would essentially pay them money, a lot more money than they were used to because they weren't from affluent environments, to go do horrible, illegal, nefarious things with rich, powerful men. And he used their bodies in a way which was disrespectful to all of womankind and was disrespectful to all of mankind. And this man, by the way, had lots of connections with lots of rich, powerful people. The Clintons being number one. Probably Bill Clinton was numero uno, and this is probably why Jeffrey Epstein is dead today. So here's a real case of discriminating and doing horrible things with young girls/women, and the militant, angry feminists are silent. They're nowhere to be found. Now, if you're conservative and you stand for family values and you stand for like the strength of a nation and like making the country better, you could be recruited as a militant, angry, rich feminist to go march in the streets to protest him because he used the P word, which is not illegal, right? It may be crude at best, right? And it may not even be crude if you're used to being a male and actually having real conversations with other males. But you can actually mobilize these rich, angry, harpy, militant feminists to go do your work for you, just based upon somebody pulling a trigger and telling them to go march and create these hats, which are vulgar at best, right? But if you're actually doing horrible, nasty things to young girls, and you're doing it in illegal ways, and you're doing it to the death and destruction of a nation, which Jeffrey Epstein was, well, then the militant angry feminists are silent. And why are they silent, by the way? And this is something you should probably think about. They're silent because these militant angry harpy feminists have never had an original thought in their own. That they're under the control of some male somewhere. And this is the thing that should make these harpy, angry, militant, mad, ugly, short-haired feminists matter, is because when the deep state, which is controlled by very liberal New World Order men, decide to mobilize you, they just snap their fingers and you do their bidding. Essentially, you are at the behest of men, and you're doing whatever men want you to do, and you're doing it for the destruction of your culture and your society. But when there's actually something objectively evil that's illegal and may destroy your society, you guys are silent. Why are you guys silent? When I say guys, I mean you women are silent. And you're silent because of this. Because you've never had an original thought and no man organized you to do it. And so that should make you angry, and rightfully so, and it should make you angry at yourself, not at me, because I'm just delivering the message. You guys are not original, and you've never had an original thought in your entire life. And when evil people snap their fingers, you jump and spring into action, like the George Soroses of the world, or the Paulsons of the world, or like the K Streets and the Wall Street people of the world, or the intelligence agencies. They can make you create chaos in our country. But when there's something objectively evil and a man doesn't snap his fingers, you actually don't do anything. You sit idly by and you wait for somebody to take control of the situation. And so, well, anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. And rich, angry, harpy, rich, angry feminists, yeah, you guys should look yourself in the mirror, and you should look at yourself and be like, I'm a pathetic human being. And this should bring you, by the way, back to the Garden of Eden story, because the Garden of Eden story is very important. You had God, who essentially gave Adam and Eve like everything they've ever wanted in the history of the world. You have all the food, and you have all the enjoyment, and like you have eternal life, and you have utopia to live in. But you only have to follow one rule, and that rule is you just don't eat from the tree of knowledge, meaning you don't have to try to gain more than you already have. And so who was the one that broke the original commandment from God? Who did the serpent go to? It went to Eve. Why? Because the serpent knew she was inclined to emotions, and the serpent knew he could manipulate her. Now, Adam wasn't innocent in the whole situation. He watched the whole thing happen, and Adam was kind of a pathetic, cowardly male. That's the problem with the male society. But the reason why the serpent went to the woman is because he knew he could mobilize her to do exactly the wrong thing. Well, anyway, there you go. When somebody says something slightly crude, not illegal, in a private conversation that was recorded, you could actually mobilize 1 million to 2 million women in America to create economic chaos, and also create hats that scandalize the children and the younger people in their society. But if somebody does something objectively evil, but nobody calls upon them, and it's also against the rights of women, it's against the dignity of women, it's against the humanity of women, the mad, angry, harpy women are silent. Why? Because the serpent didn't call upon them. And so anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. And if you're a harpy, angry, militant female, you can actually comment in my comment section, but do it with charity and do it with grace, and I'll be happy to respond. But I know, by the way, I know that I probably touched something in your mind. Where are all the women with the Epstein trial? I know that bothers you, and if it bothers you, maybe you should not comment in a horrible way. Maybe you should pray and meditate about it, get to Mass, pray the daily rosary, live a sacramental life, and stop trying to upend society and destroy the order of family life and the order of America. So this is Catholic Dad making you think about it, and God bless, and get to Mass and pray the daily rosary. Take care.